and I did promise we were going to chat to Ronan O'Gara. I had a very big weekend. Ronan, good morning to you.
Hi Adrian, how are you? Shane.
How are you doing?
Good, yeah, good. Just a few difficulties getting the camera angle right, but seems okay.
Looking good. You're just about in shot there, so we'll roll with that.
Room in Paris, so we came up last night by train, and long day today, captain's run, and play tomorrow at 9 o'clock local time. So it's interesting, very interesting times.
Is it interminable with such a late start like the day?
Yeah, it's interesting, because during the year you're trying to you have to feature that into your routine, because the lads from the Dadcast would know well. Usually I'd be in bed from at 10 o'clock, but that's just the start of the second half. Yeah. In terms of, and if your day starts at 8 and your kickoff is 13 hours later, it's different at the start. It took a bit of getting used to, but into the players' programs you build in a kind of nap times and kind of not allowed to drink coffee times, so a little bit of guidance, but we're pretty experienced now because a lot of the big games in Canal Plus are 9 o'clock on either Saturday or Sunday night, so but there is a lot, I suppose, from a management point of view of the difference between peaking for a 9 o'clock kickoff or a 3 o'clock kickoff, and it isn't as simple as one would think.
How do you go about sort of managing your own day tomorrow? Like, you're obsessing about the game, I'm certain about that, and it's a very long day to try and fill your time. Is there a template of how you go about that, or?
Yeah, I suppose the good thing about this now, this will be unique in the fact that there's no game to prepare for after. There's nothing on Monday really, so you're all in, so you can actually enjoy today and tomorrow, because knowing that you've worked hard and this is the reward you get for it. But after 27 games, it comes down to 180 minutes to decide whether you get silverware or not, which is the same for Toulouse, but that's what makes sport so enjoyable and ruthless, is the fact that one team goes away happy, the other will be gutted. But filling the day would be, the staff might go for a waddle tomorrow morning, and then there's, literally just hang around. If there's boys looking for chats or stretching or coffee, just what's good at the minute is that I think it's a group where when you meet people you want to speak to them, as opposed to, will I go down to the team room now, and that was probably the case a few years ago. But now the boys enjoy each other's company. The time, obviously leading into a final, the day of the game is long, but from our point of view, it's exactly where we wanted to be, so we're hugely excited.
Presume any coffee bans don't impact yourself or the coaching staff. That'll be just disastrous, especially on the day of a final. You need your coffee on board.
Yeah. No, obviously the rules are. I'm not too bothered about the guys overloading and the staff, but from a player's point of view, especially like coming from last weekend, just in San Sebastian, it was 35 degrees at pitch level, I think, and you could see we were excellent for 40 minutes, and then it was like you were talking to people but they weren't really there at half time. You could see, Jesus, this heat is having a huge effect on people, and I think after the rest we couldn't really impose our game for the first 15 minutes of the second half, so always learning and always trying to, I suppose, take on board what the conditions are giving you. But most definitely, we've seen, was it in USA 94 with Steve Staunton and the boys, that the heat has a big impact on the paddies, so Donnacha Ryan needs lots of sun cream, that's for certain. But,
I see him in the John Aldridge role with the
get some factor 50 on the skin. It's probably an easy enough deduction to make, Ronan, given the 21-3 half-time lead last week against Bordeaux in the semi, but was that an ambition to start fast given what happened in the Champions Cup final?
We didn't really start fast, to be fair. We started okay, but they scored first, 3-0, and then we took control of the game, and it sounds a lot of points, but it was probably 3 half opportunities that turned into points, and I think that's what happens when you've good players and confident on form, that they can turn you go back through the Premiership and watching all the strikers over the years. That's what makes them so interesting when they got half chances. Shearer or Rooney or Fowler, any of these guys, they used just to notch up goals. I think that's what teams do when they're in form and when they're getting half opportunities. And 3 opportunities over 40 minutes isn't very many, but we defended brilliantly when we were under pressure once, but we managed the game. But then the 20 minutes after half time were disappointing, and they came back into it. But we finished strongly, and obviously for a big game, the lead really didn't change hands, so we were in full control of the game.
You've chatted to us a fair bit in this lot over the years about the importance of the European Cup and how you had to bring the club and the team on the journey to understand that, and obviously that's paid off in absolute spades. Mystery European Cup, I think, was how Keith Wood might have described you on the show during the week. The bouclier needs no explanation, I'm sure, to the owners, to the players, to the city. Is there a different vibe about it, and can you talk to us a little bit about the importance of that then in terms of the difference between 8 and the European Cup locally?
Yeah, well, there wouldn't be any history in La Rochelle in terms of the Champions Cup. It's when you look at the statistics or the history of it, everything is in its infancy. Really, it's just, I suppose, most particularly in the last 2 seasons, our streak has been red hot. But prior to that, we didn't play many games, or the club didn't play many games, so it was relatively new, and it made it very exciting. But La Rochelle doesn't have much history in the top 14. It's never won a bouclier, so that's the natural next step. So are we to be intimidated by that, or are we to be excited by that? So I think this group is very excited, and I think the way I see it, it's the natural step for the team to take. But it all comes on the line. One performance will either give you that or take it away and make it more difficult and more frustrating for supporters and for fans and for the club. But you got to be excited by this challenge. You got to be aware of what it would mean to the town, and we are aware of that. And I think there's great connection between supporters and the team. So it doesn't feel different. It feels like another big game. But we've been on a treadmill for whatever, I think, the last number of months, where every game has nearly felt like a big game, and it's important that we understand what's at stake, but you don't I suppose it can't be any bigger than Dublin. It's of the same importance, probably more important to French people, to all of us probably, because it would be a first. Winning in Dublin wasn't the first because we've already won the Champions Cup, but the team would be very excited to try and win a bouclier. There's huge history involved, there's huge prestige involved, and that excites us.
What sort of a step up would it be in terms of the reaction to it? Because I think that's the thing that's interesting to an Irish audience, that sense of the European Cup being an established thing here, less so in La Rochelle. We saw the scenes 3 weeks ago after you won the Heineken Cup and the reaction to it, and 12 months ago. This is a step up again locally in terms of their understanding of their relationship with the top 14. Yeah,
because it's so steeped in history, Adrian. It means it's been there. That's the one thing that's been, I suppose, stable in rugby over the last 100 years has been the quest to win a Brennus. So it becomes, I suppose, a lot more tangible or live with the group of players we have, and I suppose with the way we've been playing. So the locals want it, we want it, but just because you want it doesn't mean you get it, and I cannot stress that enough, So there'll be a plan tomorrow night at 9 o'clock to be efficient in what we do, but that doesn't guarantee anything. But you shouldn't, I suppose, be fearful of that. You should be enthralled by that. You should be excited about showing your talent in front of the whole of France in the biggest biggest rugby sporting occasion in France this year. And it's something that we've chatted about, but it's a very natural, I think, progression for this team, is that we believe, that we show we're the best team in Europe. Now we need to show we're the best team in France.
There's the added element tomorrow night, Ronan, if yourselves overcome Toulouse. Given this new Champions Cup format that's been announced during the week, Leinster will join La Rochelle, Munster and Saracens as top seeds for the new look Champions Cup. So you'll have the Munster fans, as you usually do, supporting you, but you'll also have the Leinster fans behind you tomorrow night. Does that warm your heart?
It does.
Well, it's very important that the only time you want to meet Leinster is in a final, or when there's something worthwhile at stake. That if having them in your group would be not a good idea, obviously, because they're such a quality team. So I never thought about that. Obviously, there's enough at stake between La Rochelle and Toulouse to be worrying about third parties, but I appreciate the warm gesture, Shane.
Yeah, I'm sure that's again how it was intended. Come here, did you just see the Examiner this morning, Ron? You talk about if you don't manage to get over the line, that it leaves a few chinks for the begrudgers. Who are the begrudgers?
Yeah, I saw that. I'm not in control of the headline, obviously. I think in the content, is there mention of begrudgers?
It's not actually. The headline is when the players are doing well, you don't want the season to end. But this was just a paragraph within it where you say that it was the one you want. It's massive validation of the road travel so far.
But I suppose where we are, there isn't any doubt of the quality of the team, but there would always be a bit of unfinished business from my point of view, is the fact if you don't get over the line tomorrow night, because they're the same teams in Europe that there are in France. Obviously it doesn't never equate when an opposition like Leinster beat Toulouse and we beat Leinster, that means La Rochelle beat Toulouse. It doesn't work like that. We know it doesn't work like that, but the competitor in me goes, we need to confirm the pecking order in that regard.
I'm interested, Ronan, was there a big focus that game in January against Toulouse? Like when you think back to it, I think it was an 8-game losing streak that La Rochelle had over against Toulouse, but it was a comprehensive win.
I think a 9 game if you include a friendly, perhaps. Right. Yeah.
But if you look at the stats from that match in January, like La Rochelle only had to make 12 tackles, 68% possession, controlled the set piece, 30 points to 7. So there was obviously a huge focus put on that game.
There's a focus and accountability on the last 5 games, because I was the boss. So when you come in and you're the leader of an organisation, you control what you can control with your staff. So I can't look further than before that, because it's something that I put a big emphasis on preparation. So it's my responsibility to prepare the team with the staff from Monday to Friday, and then the players play Saturday, so they express themselves. So we went through it the last 5 games. Last season we lost 3 times to them. In the first game, Will Skelton had a red card. In the 4th game, we got a red card, red awardee after 13 minutes, and we lost the game with 6 points. But I think what was great after that game was, I think the boys understood that if we keep at 15, we can win this, or we can win this mental battle. And I think the mentality changed ever since that. But you need confirmation of that. And then we played them at home. Obviously, they had a mixed team, a weak team, no doubt about it. But it didn't matter. It was just a case of us showing we're capable of getting across the line, and we don't have a mental barrier against this team. So we won that game pretty convincingly. But most definitely since, I think, the start of this season, we would have a very different outlook on Toulouse than what would be associated with a La Rochelle-Toulouse game in the last 20 years, shall we say.
There was a lot of talk about Anton Dupont after the Leinster Heineken Cup game, and how they had an injury early on and they possibly misused him after that, and he was almost played out of the game. Have you any, it seems like such a daft question in so many ways, because I don't know how many coaches have been asked this before playing either Toulouse or France when he's been at 9, but is there any special plays for him, or how do you manage him?
No, you just got to be on red alert, but hopefully his influence isn't as big when he hasn't the ball. So we need to try and control possession. The guy is so good, and I think we've all seen that. And we discussed that there's times when there's 19 out of 20 scrum halves, whatever, across the teams in Europe, where you feel you have an organisation that can look after their attack. But with this guy, he breaks all the rules, and that's what great players do. When he has time, he has speed, he has power, he has a really fast brain. So he's a huge threat, but we can't triple mark him. We'll try and double mark him, but that means there's space for someone else as well. So it's a dangerous recipe to do that. You just got to respect him and got to understand that when he has a purple patch or a moment, just try and get back in the game as quickly as possible.
We had David Sharkey on the show last week. He was talking a little bit about your relationship around the teaming over the last few years and the other work that he's done. It was a very interesting chat. You spoke after the Champions Cup final about the teaming and the personal nature of the photographs. The photographs, the Everest piece. Is it the same again this weekend in relation to that, or is there some new twist on it?
No. You can't do that. We've scaled Everest twice. We need a different. We need a different story. There will be a different story, but to be shared next week.
He talked about the moon landings as well, so maybe you can go beyond Everest, Ronan. There's always higher.
You're hot, very hot, Shane.
Right, I'm on the right path.
What does you mentioned early on about Monday? What does work look like on Monday for you? Is it the eternity?
There's no such thing as work, as you know. I coach rugby, so
what does getting out of bed on Monday morning look like for you, regardless of the outcome? Is there work? Is there? I use the word in the loosest possible sense. Then, is there work to be done, or is the key get turned?
No. It's all in Saturday night, so it's Sunday and Monday, Tuesday looks after itself. You know, you're the brutal reality. There's two different scenarios, and they're poles apart. So you got to be prepared for both of them, and that's what happens when you're, I suppose, lucky to be involved in finals. So we're aware of both, I suppose, paths, but I think we're pretty excited by the one we want to take.
You're finding it hard to even think about Monday, I'd say, at this stage.
I never think about Monday anyway before a game. It doesn't really matter.
Something else you might not have thought about, and you might not have much thoughts to give us about, but the Johnny Sexton letter of misconduct obviously has cropped up over the last week or so. I'm sure it's not occupying too much of your headspace, but any thoughts about, like, there's a lot of discussion obviously about the ban that might follow from the actions in and around the final at the Aviva. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, Johnny's he's a competitor, a great guy. There shouldn't be a ban for Johnny. There shouldn't be. I'd be strong in that. I think. I think I didn't hear anything or see any videos, but I know the character very well. An insane competitor. Maybe his temper flared over for a minute or two, or a second or two. Sorry, but the guy is a role model to in Irish rugby, in what he has done. I think people need to move on with this, and it's something that I think that's been completely stirred up, depending on different people's agendas.
Yeah, well, we'll see how it plays out over the next little while. You have the whole country behind you this time, headed tomorrow night, and we'll be tuned in and hoping for the best for you. Really enjoyed the last 20 minutes, and
you won't even watch it, will you?
I'll be 100%. I'm not going to lie. I don't watch an awful lot of top 14. I'll be 100% tuned in.
I'm looking for a La Rochelle jersey. I was looking for one before that.
I have a flag at home, Shane. I'll share it with you.
Well,
good man.
Good luck with it.
Is there GA this weekend?
Oh, there's
knockout games?
Big GA, yeah. The final round of the group games, yeah.
So who's playing who?
We have. You're looking to see who Cork are playing. I have Dublin Sligo and Roscommon Kildare all in the same group. You have Kerry Louth. Cork Mayo is probably the juiciest game of the weekend.
So hurling was last weekend. There's no hurling this weekend.
There's a little bit of hurling this weekend as well, yeah.
Got Offaly, Tip and Carlow Dublin, I think, are the only hurling matches really. So
are you watching much of it?
Oh, the games last weekend were unbelievable, weren't they? The Limerick-Clare game and Cats and Galway.
Yeah.
Jeez, they were.
It's not over till it's over. There's another lesson. There's theming in that Kilkenny result, I think.
And the Limerick game was where?
That was in the Gaelic grounds, actually, in Limerick. Yeah, home advantage. Clare were quite happy, I think.
Go again.
50,000 people.
Yeah, it was full anyway. Yeah,
It was unbelievable, wasn't it? What a
finish.
Advertisement for.
Have you been to a Munster final, Ronan?
Have I been to a Munster final? I'm sure I have, but it's a long, long time ago.
Yeah.
That Limerick team are impressive. I'm sure there's bits and pieces that you're watching of them.
They sure are. They're incredibly. They're serious operators.
Yeah. Right. Well, look, you won't be watching too much of it tomorrow. Good man.
Cheers.
Good luck.
Cheers, Ronan.
Bye.